Just a warning, this is not the MSP growth advice you were expecting. As a busy MSP, it's all about getting things done and maximizing your time, right? Well, sometimes yes, but are you ready to hear about a shocking way to grow that is the exact opposite? Because sometimes the fastest way to grow your MSP is to do as little work as possible. I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit of a productivity junkie. Since way before I started my first business 20 years ago, I've been reading books and listening to advice about how to get things done and constantly tweaking my productivity stack, if you'd like to call it that. I mean, the software that I use, of course. And you go back to the turn of the century when I was, obviously I'm very old now, but I was running a radio station back then, and I was completely trapped in having too much work to do without enough time to do it. And that was actually what drove me to look at what are other people doing and how do they manage their time better. So what used to be called time management back then, we now call it productivity, but it's all the same thing really. We all have exactly the same 24 hours in every day. And yet many people get a lot more done in their 24 hours than you and I might in ours. Why is that? Why does the work week pass so quickly week after week after week? Well, you know, one of the surprising things that I've discovered is that the people who get the most things done are actually doing the smallest number of tasks. But they work on the tasks that make the biggest difference. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And the reason they know which tasks to work on is because they make sure they spend plenty of time being idle. You see, I said this was growth advice that you weren't expecting. To get more done, you should do less. That doesn't make sense. Except it does. The core problem with tackling productivity with a view of, I must get lots more done, is that you get trapped in being busy. And this is especially risky for an MSP because the very nature of your work is to be reactive and to be caught up with lots of details that, yes, I know they really do matter. And because of that, you can easily fill your day with getting hundreds of small things done. But are they the things that move the needle? Are they the things that help you win more new clients? Get those clients to buy from you more often and get those clients to spend more every single time they buy? The chances are that they're not. All of those little things, yes, they're important, and someone somewhere needs to do them and be across all of that detail. But that doesn't have to be you, the business owner. In fact, your job is to identify what the big things are that will grow the business, and then make sure you have enough personal time and the business has allocated enough resource, that's human people resource, time resource, and cash resource, to make those things happen. And that's very difficult to do when your mind is constantly moving from task to task to task to task. In fact, it's impossible. And that's why you need to be idle. And when I say being idle, I don't mean lying on the couch, doing nothing, having a nap. My idea of being normal, being idle, means just not doing work. I like to be idle by taking a long walk, or going for a run, or perhaps even going to the cinema. How can I be idle while I'm watching an MCU film? Well, I can, because I'm concentrating on the Avengers. I'm giving my brain space to think about stuff while I'm doing something else. And that's really what I mean when I say you need to be idle. As the leader of the business, it's critical that you find time and protect that time on a regular basis to actively think about your business, but also to think about anything but the business. You can't really do that when you're with your family or socializing, so you do need time on your own. And you can think of it as processing time. You load the business's goals and problems into your brain. In fact, they're already probably top of your mind for most of the time anyway. And then you make sure that you have plenty of idle time to go and reflect on those problems. Let's call those problems opportunities. Every problem seems easier and more exciting when you reframe it as an opportunity. So on a very regular basis, I put aside time in my schedule for this. In fact, I do it most weeks. And it tends to be towards the end of the week. I'll find a few hours to go for a long walk or go for a run and reflect on the business. What are we trying to do? What's holding us back? What are the problems, stroke opportunities? And what can I, as the leader, do to move everything forward? And if I don't know the answers, that's my brain telling me that I haven't had enough idle time to focus on that. So go to the cinema. Hey, thanks, brain. Thank you. So tell me, is this something that you already do, or should you be building into your schedule this active idle time?
Paul Green's MSP Marketing Edge.